From Tony Ferguson's many embarrassing losses to Conor McGregor's horrible fall from grace, these are the fighters who fought past their prime. MMA is an addicting sport, and once you set foot in the cage, it's difficult to stay out of it. That's exactly what happened with Tony Ferguson. The former lightweight used to be a terror in the UFC, but his 2023 season has been far from impressive. It's hard to believe that Cucuy was once considered a force to be reckoned with. The man had an impressive win streak and was so close to a title shot against Khabib Nurmagomedov, but things took a sharp turn. First, Justin Gaethje crashed the party and handed Ferguson a brutal beating at UFC 249. The script flipped, and Ferguson found himself lying on the canvas, wondering what happened. Just when he thought that it couldn't get any worse, along came Charles Oliveira. In their clash at UFC 256, Oliveira nearly dislocated Ferguson's arm. It was a painful reminder that Father Time stops for no one, not even the mighty El Cucuy. With consecutive losses, Ferguson's future in the title picture is hanging by a thread. The once feared lightweight is now the target of top contenders. With his 2018 knee injury and the bad mental breakdown the next year, it's high time he hung up his gloves. At 39 years old, Ferguson's age is catching up with him, and the beatings he took in his last two fights must have left a lasting impact. With his next fight scheduled for July 2023 at UFC 291, fans aren't hopeful for a positive result. The fact that Tony was arrested for a DUI in May 2023 doesn't support his case either. But luck plays a big role in MMA, so you can never really predict a fight. Unfortunately for Dominick Cruz, his luck ran out a long time ago. The formerly renowned bantamweight fighter's prime years are behind him. The once undisputed king of the bantamweight division danced around the cage with his quick footwork and slick moves. After a 4-year hiatus from the sport, Cruz decided to make a comeback, hoping for a shot at the crown. And boy, did he make a splash at UFC 249. He was looking light on his feet, showing glimpses of his former greatness. But here's where things got dicey. Cruz stepped into the cage with Henry Cejudo at UFC 249, when Henry was the reigning bantamweight champion at the time. But what was hyped as the fight of the decade turned out to be a complete massacre. Cruz wasn't prepared for the leg-kicking onslaught that was about to rain down on him, and that's exactly what Cejudo targeted. It wasn't long before the former champion went down. Sure, he won UFC 259, but his opponent was a rookie. So now even his biggest fans can't deny it. The 38-year-old isn't the same as he was. The fact that his fighting style still hasn't improved makes fans doubt how many fights he has left in him. But sometimes a bad loss is all it takes for the harsh reality to kick in for these athletes. Just look at BJ Penn. The American is a legend in the MMA world, known for his Hawaiian warrior spirit and exceptional skills. Penn is undoubtedly one of the sport's icons. He's also the poster boy for athletes fighting past their prime. BJ was a bully in the octagon in his prime. He became the UFC's first ever two-division champion, capturing titles in both the welterweight and lightweight divisions. His unique blend of Brazilian jiu-jitsu expertise and powerful striking made him everyone's worst nightmare. But as time went on, cracks started appearing in his armor. Losses began to pile up, and it seemed that the fire that once burned inside him was slowly dying out. Unfortunately, instead of gracefully exiting the stage, Penn decided to continue fighting. From his streak of losses in the cage to his legal troubles outside of it, he suffered a string of defeats, often looking like a shadow of his former self. The warrior spirit that defined BJ Penn seemed to fade, replaced by a mix of frustration and disappointment. Everyone understood when he announced his retirement. Constant losses aren't everyone's cup of tea, but it looks like this next fighter is made up of different material altogether. Jose Aldo was once a dominant featherweight champion, but he's seen his fair share of highs and lows. On his highs, he was ruling the featherweight division with an iron fist for over a decade. Jose was on an unbeatable streak, mowing down opponents left and right like a Brazilian wrecking machine. But then the schedule was announced for UFC 194, and his lows began. That too at the hands of the loudmouth Irishman Conor McGregor. And in 13 seconds, everything changed for the Brazilian. Aldo was knocked out cold, and his reign of dominance came crashing down like a house of cards. It was a moment that stunned the world, and I can only imagine how he must have been feeling at the time. While McGregor reveled in his victory and counted his millions, Aldo was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered pride. Let's be honest, losing to McGregor hurt his ego big time. It was a mental blow that echoed throughout his career. Aldo managed to reclaim the title when it was vacated, but those who followed him closely could see that something had changed. Maybe it was the mind games that got to him, but his record hasn't improved. With 6 losses to his name, as well as multiple failed championship attempts, it's no surprise that industry insiders are saying we might hear retirement news soon. But even retirement rumors don't guarantee these fighters will stay out of the octagon, and no one knows that better than Frankie Edgar. For years, the former UFC lightweight champion has been rumored to step back from the spotlight. And can you blame people for believing those rumors? He had his fair share of triumphs back in the day, but it seems like his luck has taken a turn for the worse. With just 2 wins in his last 6 fights, it's clear that time has caught up with him. Edgar last fought on November 6, 2021 at UFC 268, where he lost by knockout in the 3rd round to Marlon Vera. It was his 3rd knockout loss in his last 4 fights. Although he did reveal that he underwent hip replacement surgery in April 2021, just months before his fights. If you don't know, his injuries can get very nasty with time. Before Vera, it was Corey Sandhagen who was throwing him onto the canvas. For Frankie, it was a harsh reminder that the game has evolved. At 41 years old, it was high time for this future Hall of Famer to say goodbye to the sport. After all, MMA is a brutal sport, and the wear and tear on his body had been taking its toll. Edgar will always have his place in the MMA history books, but it's clear that his chances of challenging for the title again are non-existent. But while Frankie's retirement after UFC 281 wasn't surprising, the next name on this list just might be. Conor McGregor has started to show weakness in the octagon. It might seem controversial to include his name when talking about fighters past their prime, but let me explain. When Conor started off in the industry, he took the combat sports world by storm, conquering the UFC and becoming a 2-division champion. Not only that, but he also dared to step into the boxing ring with Floyd Mayweather, all for a whopping $100 million payday. The man knows how to make headlines and stack his bank account. But in recent years, it seems like that's all he does. His fall from grace was just as quick as his rise, whether that was through his humiliating loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov or his controversies after the fight. Many fans have started to question if he's still the same fighter he used to be. Since 2018, McGregor has only managed to secure 1 victory in the lightweight division, with a record of 1-2. And let's not forget his 2021 loss to Dustin Poirier at UFC 257. With the fighter currently in rehab for his leg injury, insiders doubt he'll be able to make a strong comeback at all, especially considering he was struggling even before the injured leg. So, there you have it. From Conor McGregor's fall from grace to Tony Ferguson's embarrassing losses. Those were the fighters who fought past their prime.
Come on, Tony.
Tony's hurt. He's hurt real bad.
Oh, he's hurt bad. They're going to stop the fight.